Hello and welcome again. Today we're back with Joel Freudman to hear about the next chapter in his journey in this series of interviews. Joel, last time you told us about your drilling program and how 2022 was a year of discoveries. You said that while you were exploring for gold, you hit high grade copper and silver on the property. Did that prompt you to shift your focus, or did you maintain gold as your priority?
Well, we've kind of evolved even our I wouldn't say fully evolved our positioning to a dual track, but the main mineral we're targeting at Golden Rose is gold, unsurprisingly, and that's the top priority target right now is this Marks Pond high grade gold target. But because of the copper, like you mentioned, it does it does open a new avenue for TRU, which is the critical minerals avenue. So there's a lot of buzz around electric vehicles and solar power renewables. These things consume immense amounts of copper, so much so that copper has been designated a critical mineral by the Canadian government, the US government, a number of governments around the world. And in Canada, they actually brought in tax advantaged flow through funding, or basically a special type of funding for copper projects because there's such a need for copper. And so by virtue of having this demonstrated copper on a large chunk of our property, TRU can now tap into an extra pool of capital, which is people who are looking to invest in copper, whether it's kind of critical minerals focused flow through funds or other strategic counterparties who would be looking for copper exposure and not so much gold. So it really has opened us up to another avenue of funding and market positioning, I'd say. But still, we have to do more work at that target to get a sense of how viable it is, how much copper is there really. Very early stage. Like we were the first ones to discover that area. We were the first ones to drill it. A much more work remains to be done there too, which is pretty much a constant theme in exploration. But it's a great piece to have to our story at Golden Rose.
It is indeed. And now you have multiple promising tracks to work on. Tell us about the next chapter.
Well, this is kind of brings us almost up to present day. And I would say, now we're in early 2023. We know we have the copper and silver. We know we've got the high grade gold. But the market is generally down. There's been a bear market for all of 2022. Most segments of the market still in a bear market in 2023. TRU's share price were around like 5 cents. So we're at about a 5 million market cap. Not where we'd like to be, but if you look at the field, kind of everyone's in the same boat. Almost all the junior exploration companies are, down significantly. So it doesn't seem like a great environment. And I guess this is where I kind of would draw back on my time with Trius Investments and this change of business, where if you don't have the resolve, you'd probably say, well, I don't want to deal with these problems. I'm out of here. But if you believe in what you're doing and you see progress, you have to put your head down and press forward, because that's kind of like in my gut. And I'd say generally, like, the more you get comfortable being an entrepreneur, you realize there's always uncertainty. But if there's progress and you can tell you're working towards a bigger objective, you have to press forward. The way out is through. And so, we kind of, again, we very much retrenched. We had most of the team here. We had hired a CFO who became our CFO and president, Olga Nikitovich, and she's responsible for she's very mining savvy as a CFO and also handles the operations. So we had kind of a lot of, brain power being put towards how to best attack the property. We added another guy with mining experience to the board, Manish Kshatriya. So we had built out kind of the board. We built out the executive team. We hired a new VP exploration, Paul Tenier, long track record. Barry had kind of stepped out of day to day to keep a seat on the board. So Paul has, very track record. He's run producing mines. He's kind of worked in a bunch of different companies around the world. So we continued to deepen our bench strength for TRU all the way through to early 2023. And we went to PDAC in March 2023. And we figured this is going to be kind of make or break for us. Let's get a sense of how much interest is there in TRU in a time when the market is definitely difficult for junior explorers. And actually, in terms of seeing these rays of hope at PDAC, I would say we had no fewer than a half dozen sizable companies come through our booth for technical due diligence sessions. Not people wandering by saying, "Oh, I'll take a flyer." We had teams of geologists in our booth poring over the maps. They were talking with Pierce Bradley, our exploration manager, for geological insight and interpretation. And so that was another sign that, including like majors, right? Like large, or I should say maybe mid tiers. there were multi-billion-dollar public companies in our booth looking at TRU and specifically Golden Rose. And these are, again, signs of now we're really on to enough that people are starting, industry, are starting to really perceive the value of the Golden Rose project and how much geological potential there is of the project. Because certainly the prior year, it was much more kind of retail traffic. This year was like there was people, there was industry players, and they were at PDAC. TRU is one of their stops at PDAC. They made a point to come by the booth and to investigate what we were doing at the project. We had our neighbors from Marathon, for example, come over with their CEO and then their VPX and another geologist. So the right kind of traffic was really coming to the booth, and that was a good sign for us. And that, it almost takes us to present day. We said, okay, there's this much interest. We're going to still have to give it another go for more exploration. As always, that does cost money. We're going to have to do another financing. And so I'd say it was about April of 2023, we said, okay, we're going to, let's get one more financing in and let's do a third round of drill programs, targeting probably this Marks Pond high-grade gold zone and probably or certainly Marks Pond and then probably the Jacobs Pond copper area, depending on how much money we raise and how far things go. And even though the market was difficult, the pricing, I'd say, of that financing was attractive. And so my merchant bank, Resurgent Capital, we put in a lead order into that financing of $250,000, which immediately put us oversubscribed quite early on in the process, because we thought we don't want to take too much from TRU's perspective, we don't want to take too much market risk. We don't want to leave the financing open into the summer. We want to make sure the money's in the bank, and we want to importantly show other parties that we're financed to do this work. We're going to continue to advance and develop the project as we need to. We're going to build the value here. And so for the parties who are interested in Golden Rose, we think the project will get more expensive from here as we uncover more and more discoveries. And that really takes us to about the present day.
All of those are encouraging signs that you're on the right track and people are noticing. Joel Freudman, the CEO of TRU Precious Metals, a leader with True Resolve, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful and inspirational story with us.
Thanks, Munir, and thanks to the TRU team, definitely, and thanks everybody for listening and watching.